Purdy and how wrong so many of his critics are. So this has continued, and it's time to set the record straight again. It seems to be time to set the record straight very, very often when it comes to Brock Purdy and the 49ers. But Chris Sims, I just saw that he ranked him 17th. By the way, self-driving car. We're back. I know that you guys have appreciated these videos in the past. We just made a nice turn. We're on autopilot. We're heading up to the Dolphin Club, and we're ready to talk about the fact that, it's just gotten ridiculous at this point. It is, again, it's not based on facts. It's not based on tape with Brock Purdy. It is based on feelings. It's based on clicks. It's a post-truth society kind of thing. We have to worry about what actually is happening and make our evaluations based off of that. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who are ascribing their evaluations of Brock Purdy are not dealing in the reality that should be the arbiter here, that should be the standard here. But first off, I think that the most common trope that I hear regarding Brock Purdy is that the 49ers offense carries him, that he wouldn't be good outside of the 49ers system, that the 49ers collection of weapons and Kyle Shanahan, who obviously calls the plays and designs the offense, elevates Brock Purdy. And, to all of that, I say, of course, every single good quarterback in the history of the game has had his playmakers and his coach make him better. That includes Tom Brady. That includes Joe Montana. Tom Brady's best season came with Randy Moss. Joe Montana's best seasons, not all of his seasons, but his best seasons came with Jerry Rice on the football team. So, of course, this is a team sport. People need to just once and for all put their heads around the fact that football is the ultimate collective sport, and any intelligent analysis of football is going to look at the fact that players help each other. But what people don't mention when they keep on talking about Brock Purdy being helped by everyone else is how much Brock Purdy has helped the 49ers. How much Brock Purdy has elevated the 49ers system. They're doing stuff offensively that they were never able to do before under Kyle Shanahan, thanks to Brock Purdy. So as much as you could say that Christian McCaffrey has enabled a lot of Brock Purdy's success, and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Kyle Shanahan have paved the way for his success, you can turn around and say that Brock Purdy has paved the way for Christian McCaffrey's success and George Kittle's success, and it's reciprocal. And it's supposed to be reciprocal. That's the goal of a team sport. Teammates help each other. It doesn't only go one way. But just consider where the 49ers offense has been throughout the years under Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo, he still doesn't get enough credit, but they turned from a below average to bottom level offense before Jimmy Garoppolo into a consistent top 10 unit when he was there. Yes, the supporting cast also got better over time, but what Jimmy Garoppolo did for the morale of the football team and the entire program after he showed up and started those 5 games in 2017, to what he did efficiency-wise coming off the ACL too in 2019. This was a top 6 offense. It was a top 6, 7 passing offense in 2019. He brought balance and he established quarterback credibility to the system when he was healthy. Now, we all know that the issues with Jimmy Garoppolo, and we know that they started with availability. And we can, really clearly delineate between ultra efficiency from the 49ers offensively and poor efficiency when Garoppolo was healthy and when he wasn't. But even when he was healthy, this was peaking out, I think, in 2021 as a top 4, top 3 efficiency offense. When he was healthy in 2021, and again, that was a big if, and it's something that's tied to the 49ers offensive line struggles as well. But when he was healthy in that 2021 season, Jimmy Garoppolo was extremely efficient. The 49ers didn't have, and he was productive, the 49ers didn't have the defense at the start of that season when they were really rolling before he got hurt that they did at the end of it. But he was putting up top 5 efficiency clips, and that was with the best offensive line that the 49ers have had in the Shanahan era. So to contextualize what Brock Purdy is doing now, you could say that Garoppolo with an above average offensive line, top 11, top 12 pass protection in 2021, he was delivering number 4 pass offense efficiency. Brock Purdy has swooped in, and he's just 24 years old. And even when he was just 23, he has delivered number 1 pass offense efficiency behind a worse offensive line than Jimmy Garoppolo. So people have it wrong from the very start. Their starting point, a lot of people, is that they don't think that Garoppolo was any good for the 49ers. He was good for the 49ers. He took the offense to new levels behind their best, well, it was a struggling offensive line, but then the best offensive line that Shanahan has had in 2021. But while Garoppolo was good, Brock Purdy has been elite. He's been downright astounding at the top of the NFL. So lose me with this Brock Purdy is being carried by his teammates. He carries his teammates as much as they carry him, probably even more, given the fact that the 49ers have moved to a more pass-oriented attack as time has gone along. It was 109 passes and 77 runs called over the course of this past postseason. And that ratio, before you go and say, oh, well, they were behind. Yeah, they were behind for a half of the Lions game plus a few minutes. And then they made up that ground really quick. They were never in true desperation mode in the Lions game. It never was, we're passing because we have to pass because of a clock issue. The 49ers passed more in the playoffs because their strength is now a quarterback with Brock Purdy. So you've gone from good, you've gone from solid and efficient to MVP caliber at the quarterback position with Brock Purdy. He is elevating the guys around him just as much as some of the best guys in the league can elevate the guys around them. And there's no credible reason to think otherwise. So I could go through some of the statistics. By the way, we're by San Francisco City Hall right now, so why don't we take a look? We're going to see the Golden Dome up there. It's a beautiful day. There's a lot of traffic, though, right now as we're working our way up Van Ness. There's City Hall, very ornate. This is from the back, right? This is from Van Ness. Normally, you'd see it from the plaza as you come up from Civic Center. But, I mean, we're talking about some of the facts that back up what Brock Purdy has been doing. And I think that you really have to zoom in on the production to illustrate this case and make it as compelling as possible. Because, you could talk about efficiency within the context of the offense all you want. You could say, okay, his EPA per play was number 1 by a mile. His DVOA, defensive adjusted value over average, was number 1 by a mile. His QBR was number 1 by a lot. QBR might be a little bit more quarterback isolated than those other ones. But the naysayers will always say, well, it was only that high because of Christian McCaffrey or Kyle Shanahan or Deebo Samuel. They'll always say that to those general offense aggregated stats, even if they are efficiency stats, not just raw passing yardage. It's a terrible argument because only the good quarterbacks are consistently at the top of the league leaderboard in those statistics, but it's still an argument that people will make. QB is obviously the most influential position in any NFL offense. So since people are still going to make those arguments to try to discredit Brock Purdy, what we have to do is look at this from a more granular level. We have to look at this from statistics that offer more specificity regarding what Brock Purdy is about and what he's doing on the football field. And the first one that I'll go with is the efficiency on intermediate passes. Brock Purdy averaged over 12 yards per attempt for most of last season. It ended up at 11.8 yards per attempt that of last season on throws that traveled 10 to 20 air yards down the field. So that is the ultimate definition of an intermediate throw. Throws that went 10 to 20 air yards down the field ended up going for an average 11.8 yard gain for the 49ers. Pro Football Focus has tracked this stat since about 2004. No quarterback has ever come close to the intermediate efficiency that Brock Purdy put up last season, and it goes back to 2023 where it was about the same. So he stayed consistent. So you take that statistic, and then you actually watch the games. And anybody who's watching who's been lucky enough to see Brock Purdy play in person will understand this a lot more than somebody who's just watched the TV copy of these games. Because on the TV copy, the the receiver's often not in the frame when Purdy or the quarterback throws the ball. And so all you see is the camera pan from right to left from the quarterback throwing the ball to the receiver catching it. And you're like, okay, well, that was a 15-yard throw. Nice. He hit him in stride. Decently impressive. But you don't appreciate what fully goes into that throw. When you're watching a game in person, you could see that the vast majority of these intermediate throws in the NFL have extremely tight moving windows that have to be connected with, right? So sometimes it's over the linebacker in front of the safety. Sometimes it's more of a man coverage thing where you have to make sure that it's obviously in front of the defensive back who's on the receiver's tail, but in front of the safety, another defensive back. Sometimes it's a depth issue, right? Sometimes you have to just throw receiver open with a couple more yards downfield to make sure that you can get it over and underneath defender's head. I mean, there's a ton of crowded moving pieces in the middle of the field. And to be able to hit an intermediate route in that environment, this is not college football where guys are just roaming wide open because you've got big athleticism advantages. If you want to hit a receiver in that environment, it takes tremendous precision. And those of you who have seen Purdy play in person know that he has it. So the number there doesn't lie. The 12 yards per attempt on intermediate throws, 10 to 20 yards per downfield, that number reflects what you see on tape with the efficiency that Purdy delivers. All right, so now that's stat number one. Stat number two that really isolates how damn good Brock Purdy has been is about 60%. That was his completion rate on throws of over 20 yards in the air last year. So when you have people saying Purdy doesn't throw the deep ball well, you could just respond with, okay, put on the tape, watch the tape, and then if you want to quantify the tape, you could say he actually threw the highest completion percentage of any quarterback on documented record on deep passes in 2023. It was at 64.8% up until the very end of the season, dipped a little bit to 60%. Most NFL quarterbacks finished the season at under 50% in this statistic. It is uncommon to throw to complete more deep passes than it is to throw incompletions. It's uncommon to be over 50% in deep pass completion percentage. And Brock Purdy was at over 60% for most of the season. If you want individual examples from the tape, there are plenty of them. It wasn't like the sample was tiny for Brock Purdy. He was middle of the pack as far as deep attempts went in the NFL. I think a great one was the one to Ayuk in Washington, a complete laser down the sideline. He also threw 20-plus yard passes off schedule, and I'm going to get a little bit more into the off-schedule statistics and how good those make Brock Purdy look. But when he was roaming around in the backfield, also against Washington, and then finding receivers downfield, maybe against Jacksonville. Remember when he threw back across the field and found Brandon Ayuk? He obviously had that playground-esque ability to deliver on throws that were beyond the structure of just, okay, 5 to 10 yards or 10 to 20 yards downfield. The George Kittle touchdown against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the one where it looked like Purdy was throwing a grenade out of a bunker, that one was so emblematic of many of the things that he does excellently, and yet people still don't want to give him credit for it. That was a play where the pass rush was bearing down on him. The line was collapsing into his lap, and Purdy still somehow was, without getting his firm base, and the base is his strength, he's got those really strong quads, without getting his firm base into the throw, was able to, and without really seeing George Kittle, it seemed, was able to flick the ball out there a good 30 to 40 yards, hit George Kittle in stride for a massive touchdown to open the second half against Jacksonville. And that takes me to the final statistical point here. We've talked about intermediate passes. We've talked about deep passes. Very specifically, Brock Purdy was number one and very good in those areas. The 49ers pass protection. Pass block win rate ranked, I think, at best, number 23 or number 22. It might have even been number 26. It was somewhere between 22 and 26 last year. The point is that the 49ers were at best a bottom third team in pass protection last season. And if you talk to Chris Furster the other day, he said they have to get more consistent at right guard. I mean, the 49ers are open about the need for improvement in protecting for Purdy. And that's why the focus was on that in this draft. Dominic Puni, the guy that didn't allow any sacks at Kansas, they picked in the 3rd round. They picked 3 other offensive linemen who all have center capabilities, and that was one of the weaknesses in pass protection. But anyway, Purdy was dealing with a below-average offensive line when it came to pass protection, and he was still delivering the most elite efficiency clip in terms of EPA, DVOA, rating, whatever you want to put out there efficiency-wise. He was still at the very top of the league. In fact, you've probably seen the graph that I've put out there. He was the only quarterback with an firmly above average efficiency clip who didn't have above average pass protection in front of him. If there is one, point that completely blows up the notion that Brock Purdy is carried by the talent surrounding him, it is that. He was able to do what he did despite substandard pass protection. And what he did was an MVP finalist type of season, and you can make a very, very strong case that he should have won the actual MVP. In fact, I have made that very strong case before, and that's a very objective case. You're just going with the data. You're going with the facts. So there's so many more pieces of information. Look, we're making another turn. Should have been more ready for that. We're going up Russian Hill. Look how nice of a day it is in San Francisco, by the way. I'm going to break to give you guys a quick little neighborhood tour. I think we're going to go up to Hyde and then turn left on Hyde. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But I love this neighborhood. I used to live up about a block away from here. I used to go to that gym. That Crunch Fitness, you see it says Alhambra. It's a former movie theater turned into a gym. They actually play movies, or if the 49ers or the Giants are playing, they play games on the big screen while people are working out. We're going to pass by Larkin. We're going up Green Street right now. Larkin and Green has this place called Amarena. Those of you who have taken this ride with me before know that I've showed off Amarena before. This is one of the best Italian restaurants in San Francisco, right on the corner. And we're going to make it up here to Restaurant Row. We're going to have frasciati and elephant sushi and all that good stuff right on the cable car line. I mean, it's just a glorious, glorious day. I love pointing the camera this way. I wish that we would turn left here, but I guess that we're not. I guess that Casper wants to go straight. So anyway, you can take a look at the cable car tracks this way. We are going to go up the hill now. Testing that electric motor. Man, look at this. We'll get some nice views coming all the way up here, that's for sure. Then we'll go down Leavenworth. Back when I lived down on Larkin, this was when it got really bad with parking. If you were circling your house and you couldn't find a parking spot, you would have to park up on Leavenworth. And as you can tell, Leavenworth would be a very, very big walk back uphill to get to your car after you went home. So now we've made it to the top of Russia. Oh, there it is. There's the whole live stream. We'll talk Niners in the boat on the way out to Alcatraz. Jump in, and I'm going to swim back from Alcatraz without a wetsuit in February. Oh, nice. We got more views. There's Coit Tower. I think I'm pretty happy that it took us to the top of Russian Hill. But anyway, that's the water that we're going to swim in February if Brock Purdy leads the 49ers to a Super Bowl. All right, back anyway to this. Let's talk more Purdy. I know it's such a scenic ride. We can do this all day in San Francisco. I'm going for a quick swim in the bay before I'm headed to the club. Look at that. Not good lighting. It's too bright in the background. Purdy, the case has been settled amongst those who know the tape. They realize that Purdy is an elite mover. I mean, he can move. They know that he has a strong enough arm to get everything that he needs to get done at the NFL level done. I mean, when you see it's a red herring. It's a fake smart admission when somebody says, "Oh, he doesn't have the arm strength to make the necessary NFL throws." It's completely ridiculous because I saw Purdy make so many cross-boundary throws last year. I saw him lead the NFL and set NFL history as far as documented NFL history in deep pass completion percentage. Say hello to Lombard Street. There it is. Not to be confused with Lombardi Street, which doesn't exist in San Francisco. But he did all this stuff. You have all of these superlatives for Brock Purdy, and they all statistically illustrate what we saw with the tape, which was that he can make every single pass that he needs to with plenty of zip and real accuracy. The arm talent is absolutely there for Brock Purdy. Yet there are some people who continually try to say that it isn't. And that's just not very mobile. In fact, he's one of the elite movers in this game. I talked about the 10-yard split. That's 95th percentile. That's been well documented at this point, but he's got great peripheral vision. He's able to sense rushes better than most quarterbacks, most pocket quarterbacks when they come. So he gets that first step, which is already very quick, out of the way, and he's able to elude rushers. The way that he got away from some of the best defensive ends in football last year and the year prior to that was very impressive. So beyond the quarterback that's very gifted in the pocket, that understands where receivers are, that's obviously very well prepared. Here's a cable car for you guys. Powell and Hyde Street. Beyond the fact that Brock Purdy is very well prepared in that regard to deliver from the pocket, he is somebody that can deliver for outside of structure. And the 49ers obviously would prefer, and this is a very Kyle Shanahan thing, the 49ers obviously would prefer Brock Purdy to deal from the pocket as much as possible, but football is organized chaos, and sometimes you're going to get more of the chaotic side than the organized side of it, and you're going to have to deal when the pocket breaks down. You're going to have to run around to make plays. It's going to have to be a playground-like situation. And Purdy, with how well he moves, how well he can elude sacks, he was one of the best in the league at eluding sacks last year. I mean, some shades of a younger Russell Wilson in that regard. With how well he moves, he has bought himself the ticket to be a truly complete and elite quarterback. Now we get to find out if this driverless car is as ready as Brock Purdy for the big time, because we're behind a cable car and we need to maneuver around the cable car. And this cable car has tripped me up, this driverless car, so many times before. Right now, it's good that we're sitting and waiting. I don't want to try to pull around it when we have people getting off the cable car. But as soon as that clears, I wonder if this car is going to have the wherewithal to pass on the right, because this cable car is not going to be moving for a while. The good news is that I'm only a block away from where I'm going, so I will be able to walk if we get stuck here again. But the programming has got to get better. So just like Brock Purdy can improve some aspects of his game, we talked about improving when he was rolling to the left. We talked about hanging in the pocket. Well, this car, it's got something else to improve. It's a mobility. We're stuck in the pocket right now. So, and we're causing a little bit of a traffic jam, I think, behind us. I don't think these cars behind me are going to be all too happy. Let's look in the mirror. See, these guys are all waiting. And the cable car's inching up slightly. And so are we. But the problem is that some of these tourists are blocking the lane over there. So I don't think that the car, this is a compelling saga right now. I don't know what's going to happen, but the cable car driver wants me to turn, but I have no control over that. I'm going to tell the car to pull over.
Looking for a good spot to pull over. You're here. Please make sure it's clear before exiting.
So I guess it's going to let me get out. I got to get going, guys. Take care.